Welcome to a new video series entitled Strategic Capitalism. I'm Richard Devaney from the Tuck School of Business at Dartmouth College, and in this video series we'll be gaining insights about my latest book, Strategic Capitalism, New Economic Strategy for Winning the Capitalist Cold War. These short videos are interviews with senior executives and CEOs from a variety of industries talking about what it will take for America to win the capitalist Cold War. It seems to me that one of the things that's occurred is there's been too much short-term thinking, too much activity towards what will maximize profit in the short run, and not thinking about what the system effects will be. And we're gradually losing our entire economy as a consequence of this. You have a solution that's potentially able to save American capitalism and convert it to something that's more similar, I think, in some ways to what made the country great, and towards a philosophy that existed prior to this University of Chicago version of capitalism, which says the only stakeholder is the stockholder. How can we get other people to think like you? Because it's very sophisticated and very long term, and hardly anybody else is thinking like this.
We have a movement called Conscious Capitalism. You can look at our website, www.consciouscapitalism.com and .org. So we do work with, we have an academic portion and we have a business portion. But your question is about advice to the President of the United States. And just like we need conscious business, we need conscious government. The United States was formed with distinct higher purpose. It had a higher purpose. It's articulated in the Declaration of Independence. You could argue that the United States' history is basically the fulfillment of the Declaration of Independence decade after decade after decade. From the Civil War, in a sense, Abraham Lincoln was highly influenced by the Declaration of Independence in making sure that those same rights were extended to all men. And then the women's movement is to make sure they're extended to all women. And the United States has had an animating, deeper purpose from the very beginning. And yet we've lost our way. We've forgotten that we are a country that has generally thought long-term, people have come over here to create better lives for themselves, better lives for their children, and they've struggled and they've saved and they've sacrificed. And in some ways, it's only in the last 40 or 50 years that we drifted away from that. So the President of the United States needs to provide leadership and has to articulate the deep values that are still intrinsic in the larger collective consciousness of Americans. We just haven't had a leadership in a long time that's been able to articulate it. Instead, far too many of our political leaders are looking short-term for the next election, and they are just attempting to play to their base. And they're no longer attempting to unite Americans around a common vision. So my advice to the President of the United States would be to go back and rediscover why America exists and what it's trying to fulfill in the world, and then articulate that, and I think you'd find Americans would rally behind that.
John, I can see why you're truly a visionary. Thank you very much for the interview, and thank you very much for coming to visit us.
Thanks for having me.